Glad to be here, glad to be able to speak with you this morning. Hope I can give some information that is beneficial, some information you probably won't receive from some of the other presenters, but I guess I can advance the slide. But I'd like to talk to you today a little bit about competition. As you can see in this picture here, I asked Mom to find one, so that's a Polaroid she pulled off of me and my brother and my sister, and that's the other hand over there, my brother always taking care of me. But as you see there, as a child, I grew up an Alabama fan. And I remember standing on the school bus with my toboggan, my Alabama toboggan on, with my little white beanie on top of it. So many of us know, of course, the state of Alabama, and we know what it is to be Alabama-Auburn, Mississippi State earlier. But competition here in the state of Alabama has really driven, the automotive industry to what it is today. Some of you may know who that guy next to me is. He looks like my brother. But if you're an Auburn fan, you probably know who he is. Anybody know who that is? That's Chris Todd. Nobody knows who Chris Todd is? Josh, you know who Chris Todd is. 2008, 2009 starting quarterback for Auburn University. Really nice guy. He's not my brother, really nice guy. But competition, an event in which, or a contest in which people compete. And the automotive industry is very similar in the state of Alabama to our CTSOs. So a couple of statements here, and I'm sure most of the people in here know this, but the state has really matured into a true automotive state. Also, Honda and Hyundai wrapped up a year which each produced more than 320,000 vehicles. Honda began production of its redesigned Odyssey minivan. The fourth redesign the plant has undertaken is many years. And its Ridgeline truck took home Truck of the Year honors at Detroit's North American International Auto Show. So as you know, as Mercedes came into the state, and then as each automotive place came on and was able to recruit more and more automotive industry, Alabama is becoming a leader in the automotive industry. So today I'd like to talk to you about some of our CTSOs. And as the technical administrator at the State Department of Education, I'm over the Skills USA, executive director for that. Brian Upton is here. He's the high school coordinator for that. But we have technical education has really three different divisions. We have our transportation, distribution, and logistics, our manufacturing, cosmetology, and then our architecture and construction. And each one of those has a Skills USA chapter and has programs through that. It was founded in 1965. For those who don't know, it served more than 13.5 million since its establishment, and is a nonprofit association, and it not only serves middle school and high school, but post-secondary. And our post-secondary numbers have been increasing throughout the years at our community colleges. This number here is a little bit large, and I had to research it a few times to make sure what I was saying was correct, but that's correct. In 2018, there was 421,000 national members to Skills USA, and they're partnering with the business industry to ensure America has that skilled workforce. Secretary Washington earlier was talking about how do we get kids to get some of these employability skills, and we'll talk a little bit more about that today. But CTSO, which a lot of you in the field here may know CTSO, but it's Career Tech Student Organizations. In high school, I was in agri-science in FFA. I later became a FFA advisor, so I know a little bit more about FFA, but of course at the state we have all different types. Health occupation uses HOSA. Tech Ed uses Skills USA, Agri-Science uses FFA, FCCLA, the list just keeps going, JAG, JROTC. So all these student organizations that kids are a part of in high school and in college really help prepare them for the skilled workforce that we're looking for. The mission is to empower members to become world-class workers, leaders, and responsible American citizens. Some of you may know, recently we had our National Skills USA in Louisville, Kentucky, but today in Kazan, Russia, they're having the World Skills Competition. And I just saw last night on Twitter that a student from America won the bronze medal in heavy equipment maintenance. So he competed against students from Brazil and Canada. So today kids are competing in Skills USA all over the world, and learning some of these techniques and using in their everyday field is something that we know we need to have more students involved with that. Here's a few statistics. 33% of employers have unfilled job openings because they can't find applicants with the necessary job skills. And again, if you ask that question to high school teachers, we have some career tech directors in here, they get asked that question a lot. How are you going to identify that? How are you going to get those jobs filled? And CTSO can be one of those, and Skills USA is an area that really concentrates in improving students in technical education. This number here, many of us probably have friends that started the pathway to college and something happened, right? Life happens, something happened that changed their mind or had some kind of thing happen in their life that they weren't able to finish college. But 6 out of 10 students who started those college careers will not have a degree after 6 years, and then they're going to be saddled with the many student loans. And that was my case. When I got out of high school, I thought, of course, I'll get a job with Alabama Power, I'll get a job with Southern Bell. That didn't happen. So after a few little incidents in life, I decided it might be better if I go on to college and get a degree, try and get some kind of certification, because Alabama Power wasn't beating down my door at that time in 1987 to give me a job. So skills are something that everybody needs to have, and they can attain some of those skills while in high school. Super important with those credentials we were talking about earlier, but also those that get on with community college and secondary education. 31 million people, that's 1/4 of America's workforce, are employed in one of the 130 occupation titles served by Skills USA. Skills USA is very broad. It has a lot of different areas in it. Automotive is one of the big areas that we have. And of course, with some of the partnerships that we have in the state of Alabama with some of our big partners, that's driving the need for the workforce. We're able to put some of those students into those positions. This may be a little small to see, but it's real important to know that as a career tech director, as a career tech teacher, we see the importance of that. But sometimes the word doesn't get out to you as parents how important it is for those students to be taking those career tech classes. So here's a couple of statistics that may reinforce that. The first one, taking one CTE class for every 2 academic classes minimizes the risk of students dropping out of high school. Why? Why would that be? Why would a student have less chance of dropping out of high school because of taking a career tech class? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. That's right. That's right. When I was able to finally get those 7th graders and let them loose inside the shop to start building something, to make something, they were ready. It didn't look too great. It wasn't always square. It wasn't always what it needed to be, but they were just dying to get the hands on. Recently at a WOW event in Northwest Shoals Community College, we had 8th graders come up. And one of the carpentry sections, I'm sure Sherry might remember this, there was a 4x4 laid out with nails in it, and all the kids had to do was drive nails. And a lot of those kids said, that's the first time I picked up a hammer in my life. They're 8th graders. Now, when I was growing up, Dad didn't have any free lumber laying around because I was scrapping it, taking it out into the woods and making another tree house. So we were nailing everything to a pine tree we could get to have a tree house, whatever. But a lot of kids in the 8th grade have never picked up a hammer before. So our society's kind of shifting. We have a lot of students that enjoy gaming, and of course that gaming industry is huge, but that outside hands-on, and that's something the first time they're getting that experience is in a career tech class. The second one, the average high school graduation rate for students concentrated CTE is 93%, and the national average you see there is 80%. When students know that what they're doing is going to be constructive and going to continue on into a career. I had a young man at Franklin County that came to us as a 10th grader, and by the time he left as a 12th grader, he had a job immediately in high school actually, but also a full-time job, and he signed with Pilgrim's Pride starting out at $14.75. He didn't even have a diploma, and he already was making $14.75 an hour. He's already in a mentorship program for industrial maintenance, and it's going to change his life because he's making more now than his parents make themselves. And that's what we want. We want to be game changers like that for our students. So CT is so important. And of course, the last one, 91% of high school graduates who earn 2 to 3 CT credits will enroll into college. So they see the importance, they see the need in that, and that's what's so important about, I think, our CT programs. We lay the ground or the foundation for that. Skills USA is living its mission in every student's life. Speaking of framework, so a couple of weeks ago, I was fortunate to go to Leesburg, Virginia, and learn a little bit more about Skills USA. And they have 3 parts of their framework. And if you, let's see, get this slide up. Yeah, personal skills, technical skills grounded in academics, and workplace skills. This framework, and if you're an industry partner in here, you know that you need all of these skills at one time or another in some of your employees, because you want your employees to eventually become the managers, the supervisors later on. So what does this framework do? It has a common language for students to articulate what they gain from Skills USA. And those are chapter activities. So we have, of course, competitions that go on at the local, at the high schools, at the career tech centers. Then students can also compete at district level, and then at the state level. This last year was in Birmingham. And I'll mention too, there was a WOW event that went on with Region 2, the central part. I think it's Region 2. Region 4. I get the 4 and the 6. They call themselves 6, but 4. Anyway, 6 counties there actually participated with their WOW event during our state skills competition. And I was fortunate enough to meet in a roundup meeting after that, and they just talked about how much the students, when they came in and were able to see what was going on with the events, really got them interested in the Skills USA chapters in their area. So a big benefit of bringing a WOW together with a state skills competition was very important to them. But it creates a clear vision for Skills USA at the local, state, and national levels. Why it works? It works because every student to achieve career success. You know, every one of us need to make sure our students, our kids are going to be employed one day. And this framework helps that. These are demanded by industry, as we know. So the first one, personal skills, a little more detail here. The essential values, the personality traits, and personal characteristics for success in life. Number one here we see is integrity, work ethics. Another one that we, of course, need in our employees. Professionalism, responsibility, the ability to be adaptable, to be able to be flexible. I have a friend that works at Clark Pulley. They cross-train all the time because if they've got a person that's out or a person that needs to go to do some other training, then that employee's got to come off that piece of machinery and go onto that piece of machinery. So cross-training is very important. And then self-motivation. And a lot of us are motivated by money, right? And of course, I was talking with a partner back at the table. Many of our companies have had to go to a attendance bonus. So if people will be at work on time, they'll get paid to be at work on time. I need to mention that to my boss, that if he wouldn't mind start doing that, because I'll get it. I don't mind being on time to get paid. Some workplace skills, communication, where that's so important. And as our communication skills have kind of changed where we're eye to eye, it's always great when you're in an office environment to shoot somebody an email. And me, I'd just rather get up and walk over there and just face to face because we can. But of course, the way technology is now, it's so much emails, it's so much text, and so our students are going to have to kind of be aware of that. Teamwork is important. Another one that I think is real important that's listed here is multicultural sensitivity and awareness. We're not anymore living inside of Talladega County or living inside of Jefferson County, Mobile. We have to be multicultural because we've got people that are living here that are from other areas, people that are constantly moving in and out, and we kind of need to be aware of what they're sensitive about. And as a manager or as a team leader, I know that's very important to a company. Planning, organizing, management, and of course, like I said, leadership. A lot of our CTSO students go on to be some of our biggest leaders in some of the companies that they go on to and work with. Some of the colleges they go to, they become leaders. And, we look at this generation, and I got 2 girls, so I'm looking at them right now. But we look at this generation and we say, how are we going to get them, we were talking earlier, how are we going to get them to fix where they can be on time? I don't think we should point so much at the students as we should point to the students' parents. So that's me. I'm one of those. And so it's up to us as parents, I'll just get a little side note here, up to us as parents to make sure that we're instilling those traits about if you say something, you're going to do it. If you're going to be a leader, then you've got to lead by example. So these are some traits that I know we can do. And again, demonstrated very much so in the Skills USA chapters. And the last one, the technical skills, essential knowledge and competencies for success on the job. No more of, like I said, the welding. When Mercedes came, I know they had a ton of welders on the M-Class when it was first being made. But after a while, those people transitioned into more maintenance, and then the robotic welders came in, and that's where you see the transition more and more. If you've been to Calhoun and seen the robotics park there, you know that that's what they're training a lot of people to do, more maintenance and upkeep on the robots. Job-specific skills, safety and health, service orientation, and of course professional development. as an instructor at a school, you're always trying to give PD to your teachers, trying to give PD to people that can better themselves. But as an employee, that employee can't come in and say, I'm ready to go from day one to the end of my retirement without any professional development. There's always the need for that, gaining more knowledge. Here's some numbers real quick of the national. As we mentioned, 421,000, so that's 24,690 classrooms Skills USA is in. 6,200 Skills USA schools. And the alumni there, I think is real important. The alumni in the state of Alabama is very helpful to our Skills USA. But over 60,000 in 2017 of alumni memberships in Skills USA. It made such an impact on them in high school or in college that they still want to be active in it. I think that's a big number, largest in Skills USA history, 2017. And the last thing, if you can sit down there, it takes 20 football fields. 20 football fields to have 100 of these competitions going on in Louisville. So it's a very large, very expansive. I have a few pictures at the end to kind of show you a little more about it. What about Alabama? Like I said, our numbers are pretty large. They kind of vary from year to year, but we want to see that try and increase with, again, getting the word out to you, because I think me as a parent, I'd heard of VICA when I was in high school, but as Skills USA transitioned from VICA into Skills USA, a lot of people don't know about it. So that's what I'm talking about today. 907 of those are professional, 2,900 in the state of Alabama alumni. That's 716 chapters from 2019 in the high schools and 33 college campuses. And we know we have a lot of college campuses and branches of that, but there are 33 of those. So just a few of the competitions I thought might interest you. It would take many pages to list all the competitions, but here's just a few. Some of our leadership. They're broken up into leadership and technical. So leadership, customer service, job interview, prepared speech, job information manual, extemporaneous speaking, and community service. And then some of the technical ones, again, that may make you a little more aware of how it fits towards automotive transportation, automotive manufacturing technology, automotive refinishing technology, automotive service technology, cybersecurity, which is getting to be one of the largest ones of ours, mechatronics and robotics, and automotive technology. And there are 7 programs of work. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but as a chapter, these are all things that are covered by the instructor with the students. Community service, again, community service project is in a lot of our CTSO. So it's not unique, but it is something that is important for the students to see when you're giving back to your local community and the benefits of that. Professional development, we mentioned already. Employment, preparing those students with that resume, having that opportunity to sit down with an industry partner and having that interview, and then to be able to critique themselves and see, what areas do I need to improve, because that one-on-one, that face-to-face interview is going to be very important throughout their life. Ways and means is the ability for the chapter to raise funds for going to competition, going to industry visits, going to state and nationals. Skills USA Championships, we mentioned already, from the district to the state to the national, and even World Skills, which is held every 2 years. The public relations part of it, getting the word out. Social media, we used it at the Career Tech Center, and of course, Facebook is for who? It's for us old people. That's me. Instagram, our career coach used Instagram, and the kids, I know up in Limestone County, the career coach there uses Instagram a lot with Vince Green and their Career Tech Center, and the kids love it because Vince will do all kinds of crazy stuff and fly around. Public relations is really big. Let people know what you're doing, and by doing that, they'll know that you're benefiting your community. And also the social activities. The kids get to do some things that are outside of school and have some fun with that. Here's a few pictures of some of the kids. Our president there, Michael Gomez. Tim Lawrence is in the green shirt up here. He just actually resigned, and there'll be a new person coming in for the National Skills Board. But you see some pictures of my boss there, Tommy Glascott with the Skills USA in Alabama, Birmingham this last year, and some of our other post-secondary pictures from our post-secondary officers also. And of course, the Secretary of State, Secretary of Education, who's that, Betsy DeVos? She was there at Nationals this last year, so good to see that. All right, I hope I caught everybody back on time. Again, apologize. Mr. Glasscock had a meeting with the superintendents this morning, so he asked me to come speak. So I hope that I gave you some information that you didn't know already, because I know this is a very educated audience. But Skills USA is something that I think is very important to the state of Alabama, and we plan to make it a very vital part of our industry and working with our industry partners. Any questions? All right, thank you very much.